Hello everyone, my name is Erkin. Today I want to give a testimony about one of my friends. I am a senior optical engineer in the space optics field, and I live in Los Angeles, California. The person I want to testify today, his name is Muttalib Nur Mehmet. This person next to me. He came to the US in 2000 and got 2 MBA degrees. One from Northeastern University, another one from California State University, Hayward. So when he moved to Hayward from the Northeastern University, we were living in San Ramon, also in Northern California. The Hayward and the San Ramon all located in Northern California. So we became very good friends, just like a brother, brother to each other. Nur Mehmet Muttalib, after he finished his all degrees in 2005, he went back home. His father, one of the wealthiest Uyghurs in East Turkestan. Actually, they didn't have any needs for money. His dad asked him to go back to our homeland and serve the Uyghur people. That's the reason that he went back. While he was studying in the US, they had 2 kids, both shown in this picture. And after he went back and started working in Urumqi in East Turkestan, his kids couldn't go to school. The government didn't allow them to go to school unless they withdrew their citizenship in the US. And Muttalib did that, withdrew the citizenships of both kids, and that way he could be able to send his kids to school. But he was sent to a concentration camp for 9 months in 2018, and he stayed in the concentration camp for about 9 months, but he was released and died 8 days after that in a Urumqi hospital. The cause is internal bleeding. He was only 41 years old when he died in December 2018. It is one of the tragic stories that I have heard. I have heard more than 10 stories like this. This is just one of them, but the Muttalib is very dear to me, and it has a big impact to me. This is another example I want to show you. This is an article just published yesterday by Radio Free Asia English program. This is another lady testified there. Let me read part of the article in Radio Free Asia's article. It says, in 2017, her husband Polat Ibrahim was sent to an internment camp where authorities have detained as many as 1.8 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities accused of harboring strong religious views and politically incorrect ideas beginning that year. In February of 2017, Ibrahim fell into a coma, was sent by camp authorities for 20 days of medical treatment, and then released to his home, where he died 10 days later. The information I'm getting is the people who got released from the concentration camp, the first 2 months was a test, basically. If they survive for the first 2 months, they can survive. Otherwise, a lot of people dying within 2 months of their release from the concentration camps. In my estimate, the people who have died now close to like 1 million. I have some information about that. And a lot of people, when I say this to other people in my lecture presentations, people ask, why is that? Why China, why CCP does this kind of things? I want to give you a little bit information just as a clue. You can do further study. This is a person whose name is Dai Xu. He is a senior military strategist for Chinese central government. He is a member of the Chinese central government, CCP regime. He did a field survey, field investigation in East Turkestan from 2009 to 2011. And after that, he came to a conclusion that if US and China goes to war, US can easily arm 300 to 500,000 young Uyghur men, and these men will fight against the Chinese troops. There's a video, his lecture at China's Defense University. He's a professor there, and he says these things in his that lecture. It is in the YouTube video, and he also says he will continue his lobbying in the central government until central government does something about it. And you can imagine central government did something about it. The Bitter Winter online journal published an article in December 17, 2018, in which they revealed that the central CCP regime has decided to transport and disperse 500,000 Uyghurs into Han provinces in China. Look at the numbers. Look at what Daeshi said and what the CCP decided. If you check, you will find many articles published by Bitter Winter that most of the Uyghur people who were transferred and dispersed in Han provinces are young men, strong young men. So this is one of the tactics the CCP regime adopted to solve this problem, to solve the problems that Daeshi pointed out. Basically get rid of the strong young Uyghur men who can fight against the China troops. There is another aspect I also want to mention to you. The China uses three tactics when they decide to get rid of a people or an enemy. This is their ancient tactics that lasted for more than 2,000 years and still are being used today. For example, the former Chinese President Jiang Zemin utilized these tactics when he dealt with Falun Gong practitioners. They are using the same tactics to deal with Uyghurs as well. These tactics have three components. The first is defame their reputation. Second, destroy their economy. Third, exterminate their bodies. So, defame their reputation. Before China started this eradicating Uyghurs, this campaign, they had a very strong propaganda for many years, depicting Uyghurs as terrorists, radical Islamists, or separatists. The CCP regime utilized 9/11 to achieve this goal. Before 9/11, there was no any terrorism incident in East Turkestan, But right on 9/11, everything became terrorist attacks or terrorism activities kind of things. So that's the defaming the Uyghur race. That's what China did. Destroys their economy. Now if you do an investigation, you will find all the Uyghur wealthy people gone. Most of the Uyghur companies also gone. The Uyghur economy is completely died. And exterminates their bodies. My testimony is basically related to that. The CCP is carrying out very severe torture inside the camps and the prisons. And a lot of people dying there, and some of them getting released, but they are dying outside the prison or camps, just several days later. As I said, I personally know more than 10 stories like this, and we have a lot of cases like this. Now, in the Bitter Winter article, I said about 500,000 people. But recently there's another article that more than 500,000 Uyghur kids were separated from their parents. And I got some information that some of them were transferred and dispersed into Han Chinese provinces. You may wonder why. When I saw this photo, I was shocked. These are Uyghur young kids, like 4 or 5 years old, wearing military uniforms and getting trained from Chinese military. What they are doing? What come to your mind when you see this picture? I thought that China is training these kids as future spy agents. Uyghur people looks like just Europeans. And if you see on the street in Europe, for example, you don't recognize who's Uyghur, who's not. And this picture surprised me. This is only just one aspect. The reason I'm pointing this out is we already lost close or more than 1 million Uyghurs just because of the torture in the camps and prisons and the dispersing and the transporting to other parts of China. We lost so many people. This is another clue, I just want to give it to you. Now, I want to, in the previous testimony that I gave, I mentioned several people. Two of them, one is Ahad Aman, my middle school literature teacher. He was put in a concentration camp at the age of 78 in 2018. But he died early 2019 at the age of 78. I don't know if he died in the camp or at his house or in the hospital, but he was taken to a concentration camp. My another friend, Abbas Monias, he is a professional writer in Urumqi. He was a literature teacher before in Aksu #1 middle school, but later he was promoted to Urumqi as a professional writer. He published more than 20 books. And he didn't need any re-education or vocational training. He had a very excellent track records in his literary works, but he was taken to concentration camps. And recently, Shuhrat Zakir said that most of the students of the vocational training schools have been graduated. But I want to tell you it's not. All those people are still in concentration camps, and we still don't know whereabouts. Okay, that's all for today. I have much more information, but I will find other opportunity to present them to you. Thank you very much for your attention.